So, you know, I was telling them to watch the game, and, you know, I would say, what was that? And she'd be like, oh. And then she starts to have a great time, right? And she'd be like, what is that? Moon pointer. So she was catching on. She was a quick study. And it was funny, sometimes on this game, I would come home and I would ask her, you know, just to get her summary of the game, because I think she'd watch. She'd always pick up the newspaper and say, hey, this game on this time, yeah? So I'll come on watching and ask her about the game as opposed to watching ESPN. Who needs ESPN when you get the summary from the girl, from the little lady straight out of the indoor, giving you something about a basketball game? So she would say, one day she would say, Ninda Kobe Chuma, what a point kittila. I'm having a kitty. Right? And then the next day, I would miss the game again and come over and ask her. And she would say, and the Kobe, I'm going to make it on 3 points 50. And I would ask her, I thought you just said, you didn't like him yesterday. You were like, where is he from? And she would say, innale avan ninde Kobe inne avan ende American Kobe. And then she'd be like, mudslide. And I'd be like, mudslide, Chuma. And then I would walk off. So that was the kind of banter that she and I would have. You know, it's funny, as time progressed and I realized the concept of putting a ball into a hoop brought two polar opposite generations very close together. You know, during this time while we were watching games and drinking beer, we'd always drink beer together. She would tell me stories about herself, about my grandfather, about my dad. And you know, it made a lot of sense to me. It made me understand why she acted one way, or my dad acts, you know, does crazy things he does now and then, and you know why I do what I do. Also, you know, even when she was in the hospital, she would always hold on to her rosary, and you know, her eyes were closed; she couldn't speak, and you know, but she would always hold on to the rosary all the time. And so one day I walked in and I tried to take the rosary out of her hand, slowly. And as I was doing this, she pulled back, and we had a little tug of war. And you know, of course I gave it back to her. And I know she was, she couldn't say it, but I know she was thinking, Ninika watano chuma. So, you know, I know this is not a joyous occasion, obviously, but I wanted to express to you guys the joy that she brought to my life. I definitely made the best of it. As I knew when my grandfather passed away, I was 9, and I realized, wow, you know, you can't take life for granted. Luckily, I had her for another 24 years after that. So I see the bright side to that. You know, she lived her life to full extent, and you know, she was ready to go. You know, for me, not only did I lose my grandmother, my beloved grandmother, I lost also an invaluable friend. You know, there's a saying that. While we're on this earth, in a way, we're all like birds in a cage. But some birds don't belong in this cage because their feathers are just too bright. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Steve. And Adime in keeping with my grandmother's thoughts, I indulge my children and everyone here who speaks English. I want everybody to know how special she was to me and how this grandson will remember his grandmother. Grandparents are truly wonderful. What a blessing to have known a grandmother. They only indulge, they only love. All children need the steady hand of parents to guide them through their youth. But they also need that soft pillow of understanding. Ichechi was my pillow. One of the stories that I want to relate has to do with my SAT scores, which weren't so good. I had dreaded telling my father of this shortcoming for many days. And finally, as we sat at that dinner table, to my amazement, He only told me to try harder the next time. Many years later, I learned that Ichechi had stayed up most of the night to tell him, okay, that is, please don't be upset with him, for he really did try. And it was her wisdom to know that I needed a pillow at that point rather than a stick. Grandparents offer that wisdom, a wisdom that comes with age. Throughout my youth, my sister and I were always fighting, eating bamboo. Dad was always exacerbated by her quarrels. However, after my trip to India, when I brought back a signed document from Ichechi documenting him and Pilpunkel's quarrels, his tactics soon changed. Ichechi probably never saved a life. Ichechi probably never argued before judges. Ichechi only enabled her family to do these things. During one of those trips to Nilur, she showed me how to make chapati. She showed me all the ingredients, and at the end, added a pinch of salt. Add too much salt, and it is overpowering. Add just enough, and it brings together all those ingredients. That small, almost unnoticed bit of an ingredient, Ichechi, is our salt. Ichechi enabled his family to become what it is today. In the Bible, Jesus asks, what good is salt if it loses its flavor? Ichechi showed me never to lose it. She extolled the virtues of faith and prayer. Just as wisely, she expected me to do work to succeed. I would ask her for prayer, for my exams, my trips, for all sorts of things. And she always promised those prayers. But she also asked for preparation. And when I called back to express my thanks, her reply was always the same. Did you thank God? For all that we have comes from Him. And as she approached that final stage, my enduring memory, as many have now taught, will be her holding the rosary in her left hand, praying it faithfully, knowing God is with her. I have so many, many wonderful memories, so many stories to tell. Ichechi is a woman with great wisdom who provided just the right amount of love and caring for all of us. Most of all, she led a life of faith in God. And now as she leaves us, we will miss her. We will remember her. And we know her place in heaven awaits. Amen.